On September 8, 2019, the world was thrust into a state of shock and disbelief when 16-year-old Tylee Ryan and 7-year-old Joshua J.J. Vallow mysteriously vanished without a trace. Their disappearances would uncover a nightmarish tale of cult-like beliefs, unexplained deaths, and a mother's descent into darkness. Prepare yourself for a wild journey as we explore the events surrounding the baffling disappearances of Tylee and JJ. Step into the shadows with us as we piece together the demonic puzzle that is Lori Vallow Daybell, aka the Doomsday Mom. Welcome to Vice Confidential, where the most gripping tales of crime unfold. From the dark underbelly of the American Midwest emerges Lori Vallow Daybell, a name that now echoes in infamy. She is a woman called both a monster and a cult mom, among other labels, by those who have encountered her. However, the aura surrounding Lori extends far beyond mere labels. The accusations that hang over her and her husband, Chad Daybell, pierce the hearts of all who hear them. They stood accused of murdering their own flesh and blood, JJ Vallow, a 7-year-old, and Tylee Ryan, a 16-year-old. But their spree did not end there. They were also suspected in the demise of Chad's former wife, Tammy Daybell, whose untimely death cast a shadow of suspicion upon this particular couple. As the pages of this story turned, Lori eventually found herself in the courtroom. A jury of her peers rendered the verdict. Every single charge laid upon this so-called Doomsday Mom found her guilt undeniable. But Lori's journey was far from over. Additional charges still loomed heavily over the couple, intertwined with the mystery that surrounded the deaths of their former spouses. With their pleas of innocence reverberating through the courtroom, they stood united, defying the allegations that clung to their names. Let's trace the footsteps of a woman who once walked the path of normalcy. Her life took a turn when she married Charles Vallow, a successful businessman. To those on the outside looking in, their union seemed idyllic, a portrait of marital bliss. Together, they nurtured Tylee Ryan, Lori's daughter from a previous marriage, all in familial harmony. It was not long before their story took an unexpected twist. The couple's hearts were filled with compassion as they opened their home and hearts to JJ Vallow, the grandson of Charles' own sister. JJ, a young boy on the autism spectrum, found solace and love within the arms of his newfound family. April Raymond, a close friend of Lori, witnessed the grace with which she cared for JJ, describing her as patient and the epitome of an ideal mother. Within the confines of their Arizona residence, another presence thrived. Vicia Itiao, a witness to their domestic tableau, observed Tylee Ryan embracing her role as a doting older sister. The bond between Tylee and JJ was palpable, their connection stretching beyond mere kinship. In moments of levity, Tylee even playfully referred to JJ as her own child. Little did they know that this innocence would soon be tainted. So, what happened to shatter the facade of this seemingly perfect family, plunging them into a realm of darkness and mystery? Before we move on, please take a moment to support our channel by liking this video, subscribing, and ringing the bell to receive notifications of all of our exciting new content. Now, let's continue. The winds of change whispered ominously through Lori's life, leaving in their wake a transformation in her relationship with her children. It was in 2017 when the first signs of this shift began to surface, as whispered accounts from conservative relatives trickled in. A newfound obsession with the writings of a certain doomsday author, Chad Daybell, hung heavily in the air. Daybell, a resident of the desolate outskirts of Rexburg, Ohio, had penned a series of fictional works delving into the realm of preparing for the apocalypse. In 2018, the paths of Lori and Chad intersected. Lori's circle of friends could sense a connection between the two, as their association took a religious turn. Together, they embarked on the creation of podcasts, delving into matters of faith and spirituality. But behind this religious exploration lurked a far more disturbing truth. Chad, married to Tammy Daybell and raising 5 children of their own, harbored a darkness that would soon be laid bare. A satanic ideology reached the ears of Lori's confidant, Melanie Gibb. In hushed conversations, the two conspirators spoke of zombies, the individuals whose souls had been consumed by malevolent spirits. This changed Lori's perception of her own husband. What was once a loving bond now bore the damning label of a demon. A year later, her mental state continued to deteriorate. Filled with a growing sense of dread, her estranged husband mustered the courage to bring his concerns to the attention of the authorities. He unveiled Lori's belief that she saw herself as a deity, a bringer of the impending apocalypse. However, it was his own life that hung precariously in the balance. Charles' visit to the police station would expose his fears, revealing Lori's threat to end his life. In a desperate bid for his own safety, he initiated divorce proceedings, seeking to extricate himself from the clutches of this unhinged woman. His court documents bore testimony to the terror that gripped him, as he expressed genuine concern for the well-being of both himself and the innocent children caught in the maelstrom of their mother's delusions. The stage was set for a tragic encounter, a day that would forever stain the walls of the modest residence in Chandler, Arizona. Charles, tasked with the responsibility of delivering their son JJ to school, ventured into Lori's dwelling. The stillness of that moment was shattered by a gunshot, echoing through the air and claiming his life. His executioner, none other than Lori's own brother, Alex Cox, offered a sickening justification for the killing. Cox presented a narrative of self-defense, claiming that a violent altercation had erupted between Charles and Lori, a consequence, he asserted, of his instinct to protect his beloved sister. In a twist of fate, both Lori and Tylee, who bore witness to the fatal gunshot, would echo similar accounts, painting a picture of self-defense and blurring the lines between truth and deception. Lori drew closer to Chad, embarking on a journey that would lead them to Rexburg, Idaho. With a calculated move, she uprooted her children, Tylee and JJ, and settled them in this new and foreboding location. However, Lori's actions were not without their accomplice, as Alex Cox took up residence within the same apartment complex. The veil of normalcy would momentarily lift as the quartet ventured into the breathtaking expanse of Yellowstone National Park. Little did they know that this excursion would mark the final trace of Tylee Ryan's existence. It was within these awe-inspiring landscapes that the last known photograph of Tylee would be captured. Lori's disturbing ideology reached the ears of Melanie Gibb, a close associate privy to her innermost thoughts. In a shocking revelation, Lori began referring to Tylee as a zombie. The morning after Tylee's disappearance, evidence placed Alex's cell phone GPS in Chad's backyard. For 2 hours, his presence lingered. Just minutes after Alex's departure from the property, Tammy receives a text message from Chad. The text detailed a seemingly innocent encounter with a raccoon, only to have its life snuffed out by a single gunshot. Tylee's disappearance unraveled, leaving a void in the hearts of all who knew her. The truth, veiled by lies and deceptions, now beckoned for justice to shed light on who or what claimed the life of this young girl. Not long after, on September 22, 2019, JJ Vallow would also be seen for the last time. Melanie Gibb, a key witness, stepped forward to give insight on the events that unfolded during that weekend. Accompanied by her boyfriend, David Warwick, she found herself at Lori's residence in Rexburg. David recounted a scene where Lori's brother carried young JJ into her apartment. Unbeknownst to them, JJ was already dead. In an exchange with David, Lori callously dismissed his inquiries about JJ's well-being, referring to him as a zombie, a cryptic term that sent shivers down their spines. According to David's account, Lori coldly explained that Alex had taken JJ away, which only deepened the mystery for all involved. JJ's disappearance led the authorities to uncover another twist: Alex's cell phone records indicating his eerie return to Chad's backyard on the following day. This time, he was only there for 17 minutes. As the curtain descended upon Chad's own family, a heart-wrenching loss struck. His wife had died. The Daybell children shared their account of her demise, claiming that Tammy had passed away in bed. They further revealed that their refusal of an autopsy was swayed by the coroner's belief that Tammy's death was due to natural causes, a conclusion they accepted, given her purported ill health. Just a few weeks after JJ disappeared, a bizarre and clandestine union took place in a distant shore. Lori and Chad exchanged vows on a Hawaiian beach. While all this was going on, a concerned voice cried out for justice. Kay Woodcock, JJ's grandmother, pleaded the authorities to investigate the welfare of her beloved grandson. Gripped by fear and despair, Kay confessed that she had not heard from JJ in months, fueling her mounting concerns. Acting on her plea, The Rexburg police descended upon Lori's residence, their intention to locate and ensure the safety of the missing child. In a display of deception, Lori lied and intentionally misled the authorities. Her fabricated tale asserted that JJ was safe and sound, residing in Arizona under the watchful eye of her friend Melanie Gibb. Yet, the truth remained elusive, as even Melanie initially evaded the probing questions regarding JJ's whereabouts. However, the weight of responsibility became too great for her conscience. She made a call to the police, confessing that JJ had not been under her care or protection. Meanwhile, Lori and Chad, seemingly unfazed by the events, took another trip to the tranquil shores of Hawaii. The veil of suspicion would soon be cast over the untimely death of Tammy Daybell, Chad's former wife. In December 2019, the watchful eyes of Fremont County Sheriff's investigators grew suspicious, prompting them to exhume Tammy's body and subject it to meticulous autopsy. The hidden truth, buried beneath the layers of time, threatened to emerge from the depths. Amidst all this, yet another life would end. This time, it was Alex Cox. Forensic examinations determined that his passing was a result of natural causes, yet his presence in this narrative left lingering questions in his wake. The search for answers intensified as the public watched with bated breath, yearning for the truth to emerge about what happened to the missing children. In a dramatic turn of events, the authorities issued an order demanding that Lori presents where they are. She refused to comply with the mandate, casting immediate suspicion upon herself. The long arm of the law reached out, snaring Lori in its grasp as she was apprehended in Hawaii, the paradise that once held allure, now transformed into a backdrop for the unfolding saga of tragedy and deceit. She was promptly extradited back to the heartland of Idaho, yet, even in the clutches of law enforcement, Lori's silence held strong. Her partner Chad remained steadfast in their refusal to divulge the whereabouts of the innocents entrusted to their care. The winds of change howled on June 9, 2020, as a coalition of law enforcement agencies arrived at Chad's residence. With unwavering determination, the FBI, Rexburg Police, and Fremont County Sheriff's Office embarked upon an arduous search, their eyes fixed on the areas of the backyard where the echo of Alex Cox's cell phone had resonated in September 2019. The earth beneath their feet had a story to tell. The investigators dug up the remains of the children. JJ Vallow, once a beacon of youthful exuberance, now lay beneath the gnarled branches of a tree. Not far away, Tylee's grave was also found hidden amongst a pet cemetery, her life extinguished just the same. Chad found himself enshrouded in the cold embrace of arrest. The hour of reckoning had arrived, but the question remained: what had consumed the souls of these once seemingly ordinary individuals? The grim fate of the missing children sent shockwaves through the community. They became mourned symbols of tragedy, their memory honored by a memorial erected along the fence that once enclosed the family's residence. Chad Daybell and Lori Vallow Daybell, now synonymous with infamy, faced the weight of first-degree murder charges for the merciless deaths of JJ and Tylee. Chad found himself shackled with an additional charge, accused of orchestrating the murder of his first wife, Tammy. In a courtroom rife with tension, Chad defiantly pleaded not guilty to all charges, while his eyes reflected an unwavering determination. Meanwhile, Lori's path led her to face an additional charge. Accused of conspiring to murder her former husband, Charles Vallow, she found herself teetering on the brink of insanity. Her mental state became a subject of concern, as the judge deemed her unfit to stand trial, temporarily halting the proceedings while she received much-needed treatment. Afterwards, the prosecution made an ominous declaration. In their pursuit of retribution, they announced the intention to seek the ultimate punishment for Chad, the death penalty. The weight of his impending trial bore heavily upon him as he languished behind cold steel bars, his fate hanging in the balance, with justice poised to deliver its verdict. In the midst of all this, the children of Chad and Tammy Daybell emerged from the shadows, united in their quest to defend their father's innocence. For the first time, their voices reverberated through the public sphere, their collective belief in their father's righteousness lending a glimmer of doubt to the minds of those following the harrowing saga. Emma Murray, a daughter of Chad, bravely asserted her conviction, claiming that her father had been framed by the alliance of Alex Cox and Lori Vallow Daybell, plunging the case into further uncertainty. In a much-anticipated development that captivated the public. Judge Stephen Boyce rendered his verdict on Lori's mental state. With bated breath, the courtroom awaited the judge's pronouncement, their hopes hanging on a thin thread. In a solemn tone, Judge Boyce declared that Lori Vallow Daybell was deemed mentally competent to stand trial in the heinous Idaho murder case that had thrust her into the spotlight of infamy. The judge, however, remained tight-lipped, offering no further insight into the specifics of her treatment or the state of her troubled mind. The stage was set for the next chapter. Lori's formal arraignment loomed on the horizon, a crucial milestone of the trial. The court calendar marked the date for the next week, and anticipation grew as all waited to witness the final confrontation. Yet, like the defiant figure she was, Lori refused to utter a plea. Her silence reverberated through the courtroom, a stark refusal to accept her alleged sins. In response, Judge Stephen Boyce took it upon himself to enter a not guilty plea on her behalf. Court documents filed by prosecuting attorneys from Fremont and Madison counties on May 2nd disclosed that if convicted, Lori would qualify for capital punishment. The slayings that she stood accused of were deemed not only heinous, but exceptionally vile, evoking a sense of dread among those who delved into the case. Moreover, the prosecutors contended that these acts of brutality were driven by the motive of financial gain, further cementing their resolve to seek the harshest of penalties. As things unfolded, the defense team representing Lori made a bold move, seeking to send the case back to a grand jury. They argued that the conspiracy charges laid against their client were perplexingly constructed, potentially confusing the jurors tasked with deciphering the events. Their plea injected a glimmer of doubt into the narrative. Chad also found himself entangled in the judicial system. Both spouses, standing side by side, maintained their innocence in the face of the grave accusations that had befallen them. Murder, conspiracy, and grand theft charges hung over their heads, threatening to irrevocably alter the course of their lives. In a bid to ensure an impartial verdict, the judge made the decision to ban cameras from the courtroom. This was intended to shield the process from external influences. No longer would news organizations be permitted to capture still photography or videos within the courtroom, as the judge feared that it could taint the objectivity of the proceedings. The pieces were now in place for a legal spectacle that would captivate the nation. As the trial drew near, the air buzzed with trepidation as the fates of Lori Vallow Daybell and Chad Daybell hung precariously in the balance. The curtain was about to rise on a macabre drama, where the search for truth would clash with the dark side of the human psyche. Judge Stephen Boyce presided over a series of contentious requests made by the attorneys representing Lori and Chad. The defense team sought strategic advantages and pivotal concessions that would shape the outcome of the impending trials. One particular request weighed heavily on the judge's shoulders. Lori's attorneys implored Judge Boyce to grant permission for the incarcerated couple to engage in face-to-face and telephonic discussions regarding trial strategies and potential settlements. However, their plea was swiftly denied, firmly drawing the boundaries that separated the two defendants. The motion hearing continued, with a barrage of entreaties launched by their attorneys. Chad's legal team advocated for a significant postponement, pushing for the trial to be delayed until the year 2024. Meanwhile, Lori's lawyers, driven by their devotion to their client's cause, fought tenaciously to eliminate the looming specter of the death penalty. Navigating the complexities of the proceedings, Judge Stephen Boyce carefully considered the motions presented to him. After deliberate contemplation, he granted a crucial motion put forth by Chad's attorneys. The decision was announced that the trials would be severed, ensuring separate legal proceedings for each defendant. Lori's trial was slated to commence on April 3rd, while the schedule for Chad's trial remained unknown, leaving an air of suspense lingering in the courtroom. The gravity of the situation could not be overstated. Prosecutors had set their sights on the ultimate punishment, seeking the death penalty for both defendants. However, Lori's legal team contended that this should be revoked in her case. They argued that the sheer volume of recently disclosed evidence required ample time for thorough review, rendering the imposition of such a severe penalty unjust. During the subsequent hearing, Judge Stephen Boyce weighed the arguments presented before him. Mindful of the defendant's rights and mindful of the need for a speedy trial, he agreed with Lori's attorneys, acknowledging that time constraints hindered their ability to conduct a comprehensive examination of the extensive evidence. As a result, The death penalty was removed from the consideration in her case, granting her a momentary respite. Yet, as the dust settled, it became clear that the shadow of capital punishment still loomed ominously over Chad. This was a trial of unprecedented magnitude, as attorneys embarked on the arduous task of selecting the jurors who would determine Lori's fate. Charged with orchestrating a doomsday-focused plot, she stood at the center of a storm. With a sense of urgency and meticulous scrutiny, authorities summoned a staggering 1,800 potential jurors to the courthouse in late March. Each individual was handed a weighty 20-page questionnaire, a litmus test designed to sift through the masses and identify those capable of impartially and justly presiding over the case. It was a quest for justice that demanded only the most discerning minds. After a meticulous process of deliberation and elimination, the field was finally narrowed down to a select group of individuals. 12 jurors and 6 alternates emerged, each entrusted with the grave responsibility of deciding what would happen to Lori Vallow Daybell. The courtroom in Boise, Idaho, served as the battleground where the prosecution and defense teams would make their opening arguments on April 10th. With a palpable tension, the attorneys delivered their impassioned pleas, weaving narratives that sought to sway the hearts and minds of the jury. Days turned into weeks, and as the trial unfolded, the eyes of the nation remained fixated on the courtroom where justice would be served. Finally, the moment arrived when the Idaho jury, after careful deliberation, rendered their verdict. Lori Vallow Daybell, the mother accused of the heinous crimes that claimed the lives of her 2 children, 16-year-old Tylee Ryan and 7-year-old Joshua J.J. Vallow, stood before the judgment of her peers. The weight of the evidence presented proved insurmountable as the jury delivered their verdict, finding her guilty on all charges. The courtroom reverberated with the collective gasp of those in attendance. The litany of charges against Lori included not only the murder of her children, but also conspiracy to commit murder in connection with their deaths and the untimely demise of her husband's first wife, Tammy. To compound her crimes, she was accused of callously stealing Social Security payments meant for the innocent lives she callously took. In that moment, as the gavel fell and the jury's decision was made final, the true extent of the horrors orchestrated by Lori Vallow Daybell was laid bare. The end of the trial marked a pivotal chapter in a saga that would forever be etched into the annals of true crime. As we conclude this case, the events that unfolded have left an indelible mark on our minds. The inexplicable disappearances of Tylee Ryan and J.J. Vallow, the web of lies and deceit spun by their own mother, and the unbelievable ties to a doomsday cult have shaken the core of our understanding of human nature. The dedication of law enforcement, the tireless pursuit of justice, and the resilience of those affected by this tragedy remind us of the importance of shining a light on dark secrets and seeking the truth. Join us next time on Vice Confidential, where we continue to delve into the darkest corners of the human psyche to uncover the unforgettable stories that captivate us all. Until then, stay curious, stay vigilant, and remember, the truth is often stranger than fiction. Until then, we'll see you on the other side.